I work for a nonprofit that we provide funding for mental health services. So we receive tax dollars from 7 townships, and we distribute it to different agencies to provide mental health, developmental disability, and substance use disorder services for residents of Southern King County. I just am so passionate with the community and being able to make a difference.
Probably nothing that you could do that would be more impactful than trying to help people in that situation to get the services they need. It must be a struggle daily, though.
It's frustrating because unless you have that lived experience, sometimes it's so hard to be that voice, to be the advocate, because it's just swept under the rug, or like people with private insurance don't really understand the struggle that people on Medicaid have a 6-month wait list, or there's no bilingual services, or all the other struggles that come with it. And we're very fortunate at the southern end of the county to have these local funds available, but not everybody has these local funds to be able to help.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple times that you reconnected with Sister Kathleen at the center. So you want to tell me about that trajectory?
Yeah, so I was in middle school, late elementary school, when my mom was going through the Dominican Literacy Center, and she was one of the first students there. And things were really tough for us. And you, the sisters have like a knack for picking up on these things. I feel like you guys are the biggest blessings to our family, and I'm sorry if I get emotional, but like I think like literally that was like the turning point for our family, and it's it pivoted our trajectory for life. And so like my mom was the one that basically got us ahead in life. She wanted to go to get ahead and try to go to school. So she did, to try to learn English, and then she eventually got her GED because of these classes. But Sister June Volpe, I don't know if you know her.
Sure do.
So she was her tutor, and God bless Sister June, because my mom is also my biggest cheerleader, and she would always rant and rave about how smart I was and how like proud she was of me. So Sister June set up so that I would be able to take the entrance exam at Rosary. And so she did. So I did, and like you you have to understand, like we are very first generation, very unaware of what was going on in our community. We went to school, church, and grocery store. Like we did not leave our bubble. Like I remember Sister June had to spell out the street Edgelon to my mom, give her step-by-step directions on how to get there, because we had never even been to the west side of Aurora, kind of thing. Like we were that closed back then. And so like we went, I took the test. I guess I did decent because you sisters figured it out, and like I got a full ride to Rosary for the 4 years. And then Father Joe at St. Therese, where the center is located, was able to pick up the tab for my books and my uniforms. So that way, literally, I did not have to pay a cent, because we couldn't have afforded it otherwise. And so like it brought on an exposure of like a whole different world for me, because I came from you didn't leave anything. If you left a pencil outside in the hallway, you weren't going to get it back because somebody took it from you. And when I went to Rosary, I always tell the story of like everybody left their book bag in the foyer for lunch, and I took my book bag with me into the lunchroom because that was not my style. And I remember Sister Loyola told me, "You can leave your book bag," and I'm like, "No, like I'm not gonna. They're gonna steal it." That's my mentality. She's like, "No, it'll be okay." And so it took a while for me to trust that my stuff was going to be safe at Rosary and nobody was going to take my stuff. But it was just a different world that opened up for me at Rosary. And then for my sister, again, and the nuns figured it out so that there was a sponsor so that my sister could go to Rosary too. And it just opened up a whole new avenue for me. Then, Sister June figured out a way so that way I could work part-time at the church. Then Sister Suzanne sold me her car so that way I could be able to get back and forth to school. And like, you guys just are miracle workers and like really set us up for success. if it wasn't for that setup, for that foundation, I literally don't know what would have happened. We wouldn't have been able to, like, you guys didn't give us like a fish, you taught us how to fish.
Mm.
And that's what, like, I just I just feel it's so powerful. And like, I also keep saying like we're just one family, like, and that was like almost 25 years ago, 23 years ago. Think of all the families that have gone through there and how many people you've impacted with these same scenarios. Like, I read that book, We Are Eagles, that
Mm.
that individual wrote about the five ladies, and like just the magnitude of how many families, how many lives the center has impacted, and it's just powerful.
That is such a powerful story. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just, and like, I just feel like Sister Kathleen is so, she can be so quiet but so purposeful. Like, I just like, when I took the executive director job, I went to her and I'm like, I'm going to apply. Can I get a letter of recommendation? She's like, of course. And I see her lead the meetings at the advisory board, and like when we met and like for her website and for videos and that, like I just see how she directs and leads and manages the center. And I'm like, there's not many women role models that I'm around. So I'm like, that's who I want to be. That's how I want to like. That's my mentor, my role model, and like,
So are you still on the advisory board at the Literacy Center?
no, it's funny. We have terms. We did 6 years, but because of the pandemic, I think we added an extra year just to keep us going through the pandemic. But I'm still on the technology committee, and I still do the updates for the website.
Oh,
So still,
wonderful.
I'm still connected
Mhm.
with them, but not in any official capacity, if you
Yeah,
will.
so you're still volunteering there, basically, is what you're saying, and it sounds to me like pretty substantial volunteer work there. If you're upgrading the website and overseeing the technology committee, that is not a small thing, believe me, I know.
Well, whenever they need me, I just do what, when they send me an email, can you add this? Can you do that? And it's just,
Wonderful, that's great. Now tell me about your mom. How is she doing these days?
she's doing great. She's doing phenomenal. Like, and I tell her like she's my example, my role model, that she never gave up. Like, even to this day, she in 2014 she had a lot of health complications. She never gave up. She kept on chugging along, and like I mentioned, she did get her GED. She went on to, well, she's a high school diploma. What is what officially on there, but she went on to get further college education courses, and she retired as a teacher's assistant.
Mm.
And like, she worked at a mortgage office, and she learned how to fax, and she learned how to do so much technology, like, in that time period when she was still working. And it's always like, now she conquered iPhone and text messaging, and she can play a YouTube video for her grandkids. And I'm just like, she never gives up. That's what I thrive to be, like, never stop learning, and never, she's going to be 75 in a month, and she never gives up. And yeah, and she always perseveres. She's always looking to grow and improve and be better, and she's never satisfied with just the status quo. And we tell her, okay, let's try to do this. Okay, let's go. And she's not like, well, this is the way I am, this is how I was. And she's always looking for improvement. So I'm like, there's so many, you know, older people that's like, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And it's like, no, she's willing to improve.
Do you have any daughters yourself?
No, no, my sister has four daughters, and my brother has two daughters. And one of my cousins did go to Rosary. She just graduated in 2020. So,
Hmm.
so
So you're continuing that family tradition.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're huge. Like I said, I'm like, if it wasn't for Rosary, we wouldn't be where we're at. So we're huge believers that that was the path that set us straight.
Hmm. And tell me what I'm thinking about your nieces.
Mhm.
What would be your message to them on International Women's Day? What would you want your nieces to hear from you?
Well, I'm just thinking right now of St. Catherine of Siena, set the world on fire, like be who you're meant to be, like just like don't let anybody tell you otherwise, like you are a woman, here you are.
Right, isn't it a great song?
Your generation taught me.
Um, Thank you for sharing. You and your mom are both inspirations
Oh,
to all of us sisters, and I don't know how many people understand that.
yeah. Well, and that's why, like, and yes, it's her, but it's also you guys. Like, you guys took that leap of faith when Sister Kathleen, as a whole, as a community, the Dominican Sisters, like, wanted to help immigrant women. You guys saw the need in Aurora, and so it's like much bigger. So I always, appreciate that and pray for you guys that, you guys never stop and never, see the bigger picture too, that you guys are making an impact and helping individuals, because sometimes, with the numbers and with everything, the individual stories get lost in the shuffle, and it does make a difference. So thank you.